It's Romania Black, and we are finally back to a link click donghua. What? If you didn't check out my channel over the summer last year, there was a link click live action series. I really encourage you to go back and watch it if you haven't seen it. I know, link click live action, you might be like, I don't know if that seems like it's really good, but honestly, it was so much fun. It was not very, well, it was actually very long. There was like 18 episodes or like 22 episodes. There's a lot of episodes in that series, but the cast was perfect. And it honestly was super cute. It kind of was like a little kind of before season 1 and season 1 vibe to it. And I was just all about it. So if you haven't seen the live action link click, I totally highly recommend it. So, but that got me through the summer after season 2 of link click was over because I was afraid I was going to have withdrawals, and that helped tide me over until this arc here. Now, we got some things to talk about as far as this goes. First of all, I want to thank Reiki, who supremely helped to get these episodes and are going to help me get these episodes this winter, because I had anticipated that this season, I'm going to call it a season, whether people like it or not, that this season was going to come out in winter of 2024, winter 2025. And I was like, okay, well, that means it'll probably come out like January, and they'll give us a heads up and, you know, have a countdown or something, or they'll just wait till a few days before and then be like, oh yeah, by the way, it's dropping. Like, what? So I honestly didn't really have room on my channel right now to watch it. But look, when new link click comes out, you drop everything you've got and you watch it. So I'm super excited. Oh my God, I cannot wait. I'm so happy that we're back to link click. Now, Reiki has agreed to help me get the episodes because another patron, Murphy, was talking about how the streaming service subtitles were kind of wonky. And I was like, So Reiki has gone through Billy and gotten me the episodes from there with good subtitles, we shall see. And they're getting me those episodes every week. So I get to watch along with you all. And I'm so excited. Anyway, I want to let you all know that, but also I want to let you know what I know about this season going in. All right. So after season 2 is over, I was like, the thing about link click that's so amazing is that not only is it so dense with imagery, I fell in love with this series because it's such a puzzle to put together. And there's so many little tiny things you can easily miss that you have to go back and see. And I feel like they've just planned this whole thing out, and it's crazy, right? But there's so much extra material for link click that's out there. The fandom feasts very well with link click. They give us enough food to feed us. And I know that there's been promotional posters, there's been character bios, there's been music videos, there's been a lot of stuff come out between season 2 and this arc that we're in now. But I had put a request out on the Discord on Patreon to get all of that compiled together, and BB Suwon has been super awesome and got me a whole spoiler tagged list of materials. And when I'm done with this arc, I'm going to go through them. I thought about looking at it before starting episode 1, but then I was like, no, I don't want to spoil myself. I like going in completely blind. I want to be completely surprised by the show. If I look at all the promotional materials, it might give stuff away. So what I'll do instead is that when this arc is over, I'll do a reaction video of all of that promotional material, and we can try to connect dots that we might not have connected from the season. We can try to like theorize and do foreshadowing, and we can talk about the material. I think that'll be a fun video. We'll do that when the season is over. But that's one thing I wanted to say. So thank you, Reiki. Thank you, BB Suwon. Thank you, Murphy, for watching out for me. Now, a couple things that I know about this arc before we go in, just to put a reference on there, because you know I like going in blind. And unfortunately, I have found out a few little things. I don't want to know more, but I'll tell you what I know as of right now. I do know that technically season 3 is potentially going to be 24 episodes, which is wild to me. In my opinion, that seems like a final arc sort of situation, and they're going to be, because that's like season 1 and season 2 put together, but that's going to come out later. Cool. Awesome. Great. This is just like a little in-between arc between seasons 2 and seasons 3. The other thing I know is that it is a prequel arc. I was told that and spoiled that in the comments for all sorts of videos. So I do know that. I don't want to know anymore. The show will tell us what we need to know. The third thing is, I originally had been told this was 8 episodes, and that's kind of why I wanted to put this on my radar, was because I'm like, oh, it's only 8 episodes. I can put this on the channel. I don't really have time for it, but it's link click, so I need to put it in there. It's only 8 episodes. It'll be fine. And then when I downloaded the episode today and pulled it up, it's an hour long. And I was like, so either one of two things. Either these are 2 consecutive episodes together. It's episodes 1 and 2 together that we're going to watch. And then we'll have like 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Or another option is that we put 2 episodes together for an hour, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 will be 30 minutes, and the finale will be 2 episodes together to make an hour. That's a possibility. Or these 6 episodes are each going to be an hour long. I'm not opposed to any of those options. So all of those options sound great. So we'll just talk about it after the episode and we'll just figure it out from there. But I am super excited. So thank you all for being patient with me. It's been really hard to find time on the channel to fit this in, but I think I've managed it. I think it's going to work out. I just didn't want to wait any longer for Link Click because I don't want to be left behind. This is one of those series that I want to watch week to week with you all and talk about it. So there we are. And I'll have a moderator flagging comments for spoilers, so please don't spoil me. Let me find out what the show. You all know how I do. But anyway, I'm so excited. But we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to start Link Click. This arc, I guess we'll call it, is it 2.5 or 0.5? Don't tell me. But we're going to start this new arc. We're going to call it the 2.5. I'm going to call it 2.5. If it's a prequel arc, it's still 2.5. We're going to start episode 1 of season 2.5. We're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Welcome back to Link Click. Hi, how's it going? I had to go pour myself another cup of coffee because, Now listen here, y'all. I had to do a little bit of digging when I brought Whiteboard-kun out here and be like, okay, we need to go back to season 2. We need to cover some bases. Oh my God. Well, this was a lot. I'm really hoping that this week and the last week are the only 2-parters because your girl's gonna need a break. Remember how we were like, oh, we want some information about Lu Guang and Chang Xiaoshi's death and why he went back in time? Well, they just started us out with that. Oh my God, there's so much to talk about. But yeah, okay, sure. So I went back. We have 4 people this season. We have old man the black hat, Liu Zhao. Our head witch is here. I'm gonna call them the Sunset Time Troop because they're all like sunset colors. There's purples, there's reds, there's yellows. We're gonna call them Sunset Time Troop. And we're gonna talk about their powers and what they could be, theorizing on this, of course. We're gonna do that. But yeah, so here's the deal. I went back and did a little bit of reconnaissance work before we start breaking this down because Link Click is just like, it's all a big breakdown. It's like, okay, let's go through this and figure out. So this whole thing, we still don't know who it was that hired them to begin with. So I'm wondering if this season, if this arc is going to reveal who hired them to go get Emma. Because Emma's the catalyst of all of this. Back in season 1, episode 1, very first episode, Emma is the catalyst to this whole thing going down. Because here's the thing, Liu Zhao, his brother is Liu Min. Liu Min was kind of a dirtbag, and he did this scamming with Zhu Ye, and Zhu Ye was with the video game company back in season 1, right? Well, Zhu Ye and them got the attention, his scamming got the attention of Liu Min and Liu Zhao's dad, who Liu Ling, whatever, who was like, I need a lawyer to go and look at them. So he hired Chan Jin, who was in season 2, and Chan Jin's in jail now, but he hired him at the time to go check in on Liu Min and check into the scandal. Well, Chan Jin instead got hooked up with Liu Min and brought with him Li Tianqin. And Li Tianqin just happened to know Liu Zhao from childhood. Imagine that. And they got hooked up together to get involved in all of this. And in the end, what ended up happening in season 1 was Liu Min, he got caught up with Chang Xiaoshi and Lu Guang and was about to reveal Li Tianqin's identity and possibly reveal a clue to Lu Guang and Chang Xiaoshi of him being involved. And Li Tianqin freaked out and was like, no, we can't have that. And him and Liu Zhao decided to kill Liu Min. And so Liu Tianqin strangled Liu Min while invading his body, and that was the end of him and killed him. And so none of this would have happened if Chang Jiushi hadn't gotten involved by the client getting them started with this whole thing. So some mystery person that we don't know yet hired Chang Jiushi and Lu Guang to go and investigate Emma, which led to this entire time loop even starting, which led to everything that led to Chang Jiushi's death. So either, at this point, options are that there's this mystery person that's behind it all, and we'll find out, which I think we're going to find out either this arc or in season 3. Or could it be Lu Guang just setting everything in motion because that's the way the time continuum has to be? Maybe it's him, but I doubt it. But then who else could it be? And I'm like, I don't think it's Liu Xiao or any of them, because this whole thing, it seems to be like Liu Xiao's pissed that this whole time thing happened because they were hired and it led to his brother's death. And now he can't prevent that. So, but I don't know. He doesn't seem concerned about his brother dying. So there's a lot that we don't know, but that's this big old wad of mess that's here. But we're going back before all that, right? One thing else that stood out to me as well is that in episode 11, I was looking up information on Emma because I want to make sure my timeline stuff was right. And the quote that is listed on the wiki for her is from episode 11 of season 1, Pinnacle of Light, that says, "If that's true, can you help me return to the beginning and start all over?" And that's what we're doing this episode. Oh my God. So, okay, I'm gonna gush right now because I know I'm gonna say it throughout this discussion, but I want to go ahead and get it out of the way right now. Have they been working on this entire season while season 2 is going on? I think they have, because the animation is incredible. It's so good. The turnaround was not long for this arc from season 2. So I was like, did they just do like a Mob Psycho and they've just been working all the way through just nonstop? And whether the season 2 did well or not, they're like, we're going to keep going and get this arc done. Just you wait. I feel like they're already working on season 3. They're already chucking stuff out and we just don't even know it yet, because for it to be this high quality of animation and this much detail and this much into the OP and ED, y'all, this was not a quick turnaround. This was some high quality shit. And I am just gobsmacked by the OP and ED. We're going to go through it. I'm sure we're going to go through it every week, but we're going to go through it. We're going to give it a once over this time. And I'm sure every week we're going to go back through it and see if we notice anything else like we've done in the past. But I can't explain to you all in words in the English language how impressed I am by the level of detail that Link Click gives its animation. The quality, this is the best it's ever looked. It is just, I'm stunned. I am stunned, y'all. Already, I'm stunned. So yeah, I don't know if I can, doing it for an hour each week, there's only gonna be 6 weeks, but maybe it'll be 30 minutes, the other episodes till the finale. I don't know. But like the fluidity of the basketball game, that was amazing. And also, I've watched Slam Dunk and Kuroko's Basketball, so I know that the number 4 person is like the main captain, the lead person. And then we don't get a number for the other guy. But Chang doing his dribbling and going across, and of course it's in the sunset. And then that's when Lu Guang shows up to help him. Y'all, this show's gonna crush me. This show's going to break my heart into 1,000 pieces, because you cannot tell me that Lu Guang and Chang Jiushi are not in. They're a doomed endgame. They are a doomed endgame. We know Chang's going to die now, for sure. Lu Guang's just going back and trying to, like, he's getting himself lost in the time loop so he can relive all of his moments with Chang Jiushi over and over again. Because that's all he can do now. He would rather do that than face the reality in front of him. And my heart is breaking constantly in this episode. I'm just, oh my God, this is tragedy at its peak, y'all. This is romantic tragedy at its damn peak. But yeah, so Lu Guang helps him out. They have this amazing montage of him passing the ball back to him. And also what happens with his powers, which we're going to talk about here in a second, passing those back to him. And that's represented in this moment. Are you kidding me? Are you joking? Oh my God. He passes the ball back and he shoots. Each time I pass the ball back to you, he's saying that each time I pass the ball back to you, I give you my trust. And Lu Guang's just like, oh my God, in the whole lifetime, it's so precious. So then we have, in this moment, Cheng Jioshi's been knocked down. So we go back. Okay, I want to break this scene down. So he's like, every time I pass the ball to you, every time I pass my power to you, I'm trusting you. I'm giving my trust to you. It's so precious in this lifetime. So we go to this scene, which is apparently taking place in the future, or was in the future before we all went back, right? It's in a future we haven't seen yet as the audience, but we know that it exists. So this guy shows up in the red pants with a freaking gun. We went from knife fights to a gunfight real quick, and I was not ready for that. This guy that's a gunslinger, what the fudge, that looks like he's from Honkai Star Rail. I don't understand. And so yeah, he knocked out Lu Guang, or he was knocked out, and then he says Cheng Jioshi. So this redhead says Cheng Jioshi and shoots at him, but misses. And Lu Guang's like, what the fudge? But he says Cheng's name and goes to shoot at him. We don't know who this guy is. He's dressed to the nines, but what the fudge? And Lu Guang goes around and he shoots at him and misses his shirt. And he backs around the corner into the photo room. And he takes off the jacket. And he goes to grab the chair and rushes at him with it to throw it at him, but he knocks it away. Which, that move gets repeated in this episode too. And then he fires the gun, hits the flower pot. He's toying with him at this point. And then he sees the photo of them. And the photo of them, oh my God, is in the outfit they wear in this episode when they started the shop. It's from the very first time they started the shop is the photo of them. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? I'm going to take a photo of that. Yeah, from the first time they started the shop, that was it. Well, son of a bitch. We're going to go back to that. And Lu Guang's like, what the fudge? And so then he cocks the gun, points it at him, and aims it at Lu Guang. And he goes to fire, but Cheng Jioshi gets up. But he claps his hand. Now, when he claps his hand, it transfers him in front of Lu Guang. Was he able to always do that? Because I was like, has he always been able to do that? Because I thought in previous times, he's swapped places with Lu Guang. But he's swapped places with him, but he's never appeared in front of him while Lu Guang is still there. They've swapped places before, but that was through a photograph, wasn't it? So this feels like he's used a new technique, but as Lu Guang shows us, he's been leaving some things out and not telling Cheng Jioshi some information. So maybe Cheng's always had the ability to do this, and he's just now using it because Lu Guang's told him later. Maybe we'll find out, but I didn't think he could do this because he appears, and right when he goes to shoot him, that's when he appears and gets hit and gets shot in front of Lu Guang. And then he kicks the guy, knocks the gun away, and the guy stabilizes himself and then throws Cheng back, knocks him out over it, and then he goes to get his gun. And as Cheng's about to go back, Lu Guang grabs him and takes him into the photo room. But he grabs the gun back right as he shuts the door, and it shoots it right as he shuts it and locks the door. So he's locked in there with Cheng Jioshi. And that's when he sees that he's been shot. Yeah, he's been shot in the gut there. And there's just blood everywhere. Oh my God. And of course, Lu Guang's like, what do we do? And he's like, what can we do? But he's been shot in he's basically, been shot in the gut and he's going to bleed out. And of course, seeing Lu Guang this paranoid and terrified is absolutely horrifying. And we've seen it through the shocking visuals and the kaleidoscope of imagery, but now seeing it fully on is horrifying. And him looking up at Chang, he says Lu Guang, and him grabbing him. Yeah, him touching him. Yep, and all the lights going onto Chang with the basketball. Like, I'm passing this to you. Oh my God. And it's saying, I'm sorry. And then, okay, so we've seen a bunch of things. So we've got a bunch of entities. He says, save them. So at this point, we know that red-haired guy, he shoots Chang Jiushi, who saved Lu Guang. And then Chang grabs Lu Guang's hand, which we had Li Tianqi. So we're going to go over these powers here in a little bit. But Li Tianqi, she had grabbed Zhao Ling's hand before she presumably died, possibly passing that power on to Zhao Ling. So he grabbed Lu Guang's hand and told him to save him. So as far as we know, in this timeline, the current timeline, the death toll includes the cop who's been with them. The cop's been shot. And there's a burning building. There's a building on fire. Okay. And then Zhao Ling is dead. Zhao Ling's been shot or stabbed or something. And then his power fades as he dies. And Lu Guang gets it. So Lu Guang has the power now to not only track events in time, but he can travel in the photo too, because he inherited that power from Chang Jiushi, from him dying. Oh my God. Yeah, the ball shoots and scores and goes to him. Okay. And so yeah, there's a bloody picture. Chang is on the ground and he's died. And then we see Lu Guang go upstairs, grab this book that has the photo in it, but why is he bleeding? Why is he bleeding and looking like he's dying? So what happened? We don't know. So after he grabbed his hand, we don't know what happened. There's a big gap in time, but now Lu Guang looks like he's been shot. So is he dying too? So is he dying? I mean, if Lu Guang was dying in this moment and everybody else was dead, yeah, I could see why he would break the rules and go back and try to save his friend. I could see why he'd be like, screw it. The timeline I'm in now sucks, so let's do a transmigration story and go back. Let's just go back and do that. Okay? Oh my God. And then, yeah, he looks up and sees the photo and sits down. And then as he's like collecting himself, he has Chang Jiushi's eyes there. And and right when the clock hits, and that's the code that was on his phone, he disappears and goes back into the photo. Back to when they first met each other. Oh my God. But since he has Chang's powers, he's able to go back into the photo as well. But he not only has Chang's powers, he also has the power to look at the photo and know what's happening forward and backwards in time as well. Right? Yeah. And okay, now, so we know basically, from this moment on, Lu Guang, him not only meeting Chang Jiushi, but interacting with him from that moment they first met forward, has all been orchestrated by a future Lu Guang who has known Chang Jiushi the entire time. This is like a River Song Doctor Who thing, and it's breaking my heart into 1,000 pieces, by the way. So now I would go back to season 1 and season 2 every moment and be like, you know about this the whole time. You've known. Okay. I'm like, I don't know if I ascribe to the theory that Lu Guang is an old man, but I definitely ascribe to the theory now that he's been going back in time, redoing this timeline over and over again. And every time he grabs Chang's arm now, there's like an extra layer of like, it's the last time he's ever going to see him. So at this point, they're freshmen at the university. So we've gone back in time. when they first met, and they're both first years at Guido Uni. Okay, and he's in the anime club along with Xiaoling, or he joins it because he wants to be in the same club as Xiaoling, and it was all orchestrated. And yeah, the first time they met, all of this. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And he says, by the way, are you in? And then we hear Lu Guang say, I used to think that even the flap of a butterfly would cause the world to end, but that's not true. It could cause a hurricane strong enough to ruin the world. But I was wrong. The power of time is far beyond our imagination. The future might not change due to a ripple of the past. Not at all. And so then we see him in another hotel, in another room, as he's getting ready to go back again. But if this is the truth, why am I here? What am I expecting? Yeah, and it's the idea that he just wants to go back, and all this is heartbreaking. Is Chang's like, you're my partner from now on, forever together. Like, Lu Guang just doesn't want to let his friend go. He doesn't want to accept the fact that Chang dies. And so he's willing to constantly try to change the past, even if he knows it's futile, to go back in and see him. And he's like, promise you'll come. And then we see he's like, I'll wait here until you come. And then we see the red hair. I'm assuming the redhead, this is when he shot Lu Guang. He says, this is the punishment for you changing the past. Okay. Okay. And then he opens up, he looks out the window there. So, okay. So he was about to go back. Okay. So he was about to go back after the 12 hours and see him again. And he's like, what am I doing this for? Why am I going back in the past? What's the point of it? Because I can't change it. So why am I even trying? So the redhead, we don't know what his powers are, but he got a gun and he says that this is their punishment for changing the past. Which to me sounds like that the Sunset Time Troop, it sounds like they're all a bunch of people who have powers like Lu Guang and Chang Xiaoxi and the Li twins. And their job is to make sure that people, it sounds like an organization that's job is to make sure you don't act out of line and change the past, like Time Lords, like you're not going out of your way and doing things you're not supposed to. And because of this whole thing with Emma changing the past because he tried to save her and everything, that might have let Liu Zhao to be like, oh, hey guys, these guys screwed up and they're messing up the rules, so we got to make them pay. Possibly. Who knows? We don't know anything about them. But he decides to not go back. And he stays in that body. Or he keeps going back to those same moments, right? He keeps on using more and more pictures to keep going back. Right? He's like, hey, partner, let's play basketball again together tomorrow. Oh! So he says, you're talking about the 12-hour time limit. He says, what if we stay longer than 12 hours? Now, that seems like that he was asking him that question after this episode and after they'd already started doing the job, right? That seems like this was spoken to him later on, and Lu Guang's just remembering that conversation. So he says, what happens if we stay longer than 12 hours in the photo? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, bullshit, you do. He's like, I can't see any further. And he says, your soul could be stranded in the time space where you don't belong forever. And you could lose yourself in the endless time. And that's what's happened. He's basically stuck in this time loop, trying to endlessly be with his friend forever. And yeah, I'm sure he's lost himself in the time loop. And he's like, those who break the law pay the price for it. For what they've done eventually. So he's like, well, we're all going to die eventually, so I'm going to savor this time with you all before the Sunset Time Troop come to take us away. So yeah, so we get the OP. This OP and ED could not ship these two more, right? It could not ship them more. Like the ED at the very end, it looked like Chang Xiaoxi was going in for a kiss with Lu Guang. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Show us, you cowards. Show us. But no. So this OP, I want to go through it. There's butterflies, like the butterfly effect. there's so much hand holding and hand grabbing in this. If you are somebody that likes hands, you're going to be very satisfied by these episodes. But yeah, he grabs him and then he takes that version of it away, leaving the old version of Lu Guang, or the OG version, who knows what's going to happen in the future, who's walking through this timeline knowing what's coming. The fudge, you all. The fudge, you say. So yeah, we have the clock tower. We have a camera lens. Bridon arc. That's what everybody kept trying to tell me. They were like, something arc. And I was like, I don't want to know yet. So Bridon arc. Okay. All right. Bridon arc. Let's go through this. So yeah, so we have in, I'm assuming England, this guy who looks super cute with the Kisei haircut. Looks like Raichu. We have him. Then we have, what is that? What is the poster? There's some guy whose name is like Tame or something, and Lu Guang standing next to it. It says Tamey. Okay. And then we have this damn book that says, does it say Song and Shakespeare? Or Sonnets. It's Sonnets by Shakespeare. Oh God, sonnets are annoying. Sonnets are my least favorite thing to teach in poetry. It's my students' least favorite things to write. I'm like, oh, you guys are gonna really love me, and they're like, So Shakespeare did a lot of sonnets, by the way. Shakespeare did quite a few sonnets. Shakespeare's sonnets, he had a variety of themes with them, and they were all published together in a quarto in 1609. He had 154 sonnets. That's a lot. They're basically continuing a tradition that swept through the Renaissance. Instead of expressing worshipful love for an almost goddess-like yet unattainable female love object, Shakespeare introduces a young man, and he introduces a dark lady, and explores themes such as lust, homoeroticism, misogyny, infidelity, and acrimony. Well, what? Those in link click? What are you talking about? So yeah, if you don't know what a sonnet is, it's a fixed verse poet form. It has a very, very strict rhyming scheme, and it has 14 lines. It's very rigid in what you have to do to get a sonnet. It has a very symmetrical rhyme scheme of A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, C, D. And basically, it's got a very defined 14 line structure. You can look up sonnets, but there's a lot of different ways that sonnets have been done throughout the ages, but it's not my favorite to teach because students don't like how rigid and everything is bound, which kind of might go with the whole time trope that everything is bound to a certain criteria, that there are rules you have to follow with time, and that kind of aligns with sonnets. Like, you can't do free verse poetry with sonnets. No, you have a very specific rhyme scheme. You have to do things by the book, or it's not a sonnet anymore. So go figure that Liu Zhao has the book on sonnets, that he's just casually sitting back in the library doing his thing, whatever. So then Lu Guang's there with him as well. And then we have Lu Guang going around, and we see the guy with the red hair. We don't know who he is. And then we see the teacup, and we see this woman that looks like Annie from Attack on Titan. And we see her. She has yellow eyes, so I wonder if she has the same ability as Chang. We don't know. We'll just put that on there, that she's got yellow eyes. I don't know what we do with that. I don't know what their abilities are, but I'm terrified of all four of them. They're like the four horsemen. They're the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Nope. Don't like any of that. Don't like any of that at all. Son of a bitch. Nope. Oh no. Oh no. We have pestilence. And we have war, we have famine, and we have death. I don't like any of that. Nope. And so all of them running upstairs, and Lu Guang, it's just like, I like in the OP, Lu Guang's just a ghost following after them. And then he opens up the door and walks in, and then sees the red, sees the blood as it comes up, and everything explodes into pictures. Okay, I don't know. We'll check and see if any of those pictures mean anything, but... oh my gosh. And yeah, and them having the happy times, and then riding the bicycle, everything's so wonderful, clinking cans together, playing basketball, smacking hands, watching him sleep. Nope. And he has the one photo that he starts out with to go back in time with. And then, okay, so we see in there, we see the time shop. We see that. We see whatever this Victorian style apartment that ends up catching on fire is, and everybody's got their umbrellas walking away. We see that. We see the guy with the blonde hair, the model. We see him. We see the place on fire. We see the cosplay convention. We see the alleyways and the streets. We see some kind of light there in front of him. We see the library where we presume that Liu Zhao was. We see all the gears. We see the one guy holding the gun up to him. And then we see him wiping his eyes like he's been crying. And then we see the book and it says Monday and all these other things. Oh my gosh. And then it says rewind on the bookmark. Oh, you can't read, like, it's almost in Latin, the damn words. How dare they? And then it shows Lu Guang just following along Chang Jiushi, like, he's like, if I'm going to die, I'm going to enjoy my last time with Chang and them until we catch back up in time. What? Insane. Insane. So they all cheer, getting together and meeting up with each other. Just the detail in this. But it's so interesting to see them finally all like start the Photoshop and everything before they knew about Lu Guang's powers and everything. And them all getting started, like, and just now every moment is like double the heartbreak with Lu Guang, like obviously trying to relive everything with Chang Jiushi. Also, I love the fact that Chang Jiushi's like, well, I love photographing beautiful women. And then Lu Guang chokes on soda because the beautiful woman he's going to photograph is him. The one thing is, Chang Jiushi does not look at Lu Guang and go, oh, you're a guy. I'm not going to photograph you. He's like, oh, well, actually, you're a good looking guy. So I could photograph you as well. Y'all, I'm not going to be able to stand this season. I'm not going to be able to live through it. But I wondered if Lu Guang was into the same series that the one girl was because he knew they were going to need to look for that book later and he was familiarizing himself with it, or if the Ranshi Chronicles was something that he really did like. Because here, Chang Jiushi's like, well, I thought you'd like Shakespeare. He's like, I thought you'd be like Liu Zhao and like Shakespeare and the classics, which maybe he did before all of this. Maybe they did before. And he says there's no hierarchy in creativity. Comics and animation are full of creativity and philosophies too. It's very on the nose with this series as well. And so then he's like, well, what do you like about it? He has the question. He's like, well, what do you like about Lu Guang? She's like, oh, his aloof and cool expression. Solitary moon is the vast sky. He's just like a role coming out of an anime, which is super cute as they get him in cosplay. So yeah, he's looking at his watch to see how much time he has and what the time is and trying to transcribe like when everything's going to be taking place, right? So they go to the cosplay event. Again, all of the details. And there are the 3 like rangers that were in season 1 that they all knew. Like all the details in the season are crazy, right? I kept trying to look in the background to see if there was people I would recognize in this. But also Lu Guang looks amazing in the cosplay. I love it. He's like, oh, come on. And also Chao Ling with the bunny pin on her hat looking like the ranger. That all looks really good too. It reminds me of season 2 for some reason, and they're taking all the photographs. I love that they try to put Chang in the heroine outfit so they would be a couple. You are going to slay me. It's just over right now. And I feel like Lu Guang are taking all of these photos so that he can save them and use them to go back at any time. Right? But also Xiaoling, the way that she looks at the two of them as they're fighting, she's like, you guys are totally into each other, right? So yeah, I just kept looking around to see if anybody we noticed was going to be there. There is some really also adorable chibi views that they give us in this episode. Like oh my God. Like there's this one panel where it's like Chang Jiushi's fighting with Lu Guang and it looks like they're about to make out. I cannot, y'all. I cannot. I cannot. Oh my God. It's too much. But the chibi faces were really cute in this episode. But yeah, so she talks about them getting the game and everything. And Lu Guang, it's like he's timing when everything's going to be taking place because he knows he's already been through all this. He knows what happens. He knows what happens with the girl and all of that, right? Also, want to point out, if you've not seen the live action version of Link Click, the scene where the guy trying to get the photograph of her and like under her skirt is a plot point in the live action. So I thought that was a Interesting tie to that. Also, Xiaoling's such a boss. Like, her being able to threaten to beat that guy up and get him taken away. Good for them. Good for them. But yeah, Lu Guang, I have a feeling that in the original, Lu Guang would not have posed for the photos like this for Cheng Jiushi. But now that he's like on borrowed time and redoing this, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, he's posing for the photos. So, God, the chibis were so cute in this. She's like, what, are you jealous that Lu Guang's getting all the attention? And Cheng Jiushi's like, no. So, they talk about the display book and the Ranchi Chronicles and all that. And I like that they go try and look for the girl. I like that Cheng Jiushi like stumbles across the guy that's like, what's up, bro? And Cheng's like, never mind. And then he gets stuck with the grandmother. Hilarious. But yeah, the creator has a signing event and he's like, is the Ranchi Chronicles that good? And that's when Lu Guang says, for the narrative, I can totally relate to it. I was like, and he basically confesses to Cheng everything that's going on. He confesses to him what's happening in this moment. He says, well, what story could get through to someone as cold as you? And Lu Guang's like, well, actually, laughing nervously. He's like, what it is that it's about zombies emerging in the world. And when the crisis comes, the heroine accidentally awoke her ancestral lamp. And the lamp allowed her to turn back time. So she returned to the past over and over again, enduring the despair and anguish to save her family and friends who had died in the endless circle. That's literally what he's doing now. Yes. And he's like, well, who wouldn't want to go back in time? Like, Cheng Jiushi does not get that that's the reason he said it related to him. I'm like, oh my God. And so that's when he brings up the idea, because at this point, Cheng Jiushi doesn't have the power with him. I kept wanting to see them do this the whole episode, and they didn't, because he doesn't have that power yet. And I kept waiting for him to bring it up. And here he goes, well, would you go back in time? And he's like, well, it's just human nature to want to. And he's like, everyone's got a few regrets in their life. And he says, look at Xiaoling. She's so regretful now, which is so funny. And then he says, if I could return to the past, I could get Kung Fu Master for her. And then we see him say that he would go back and see his family again. That's insane. Call back to that. But then he's like, well, you and Xiaoling if you were seized by some local clans, then he's like, with the time rewinding powers, I could swoop in at the last minute before the crisis hits and rescue like a hero. Which is exactly what happens. And Lu Guang's like, oh my God, shut up. You've read too many online novels. Don't be tempting fate. And he says, the past cannot be changed. Things might not go the way that you expect. It might not be good to possess such a power. Because that's what Lu Guang's like. He's like, you don't want this power, because once you have it, he's like, I can't go back to the current timeline, because if I go back to the current timeline, you're not there anymore. And I can't go back and change the past because it will alter all of these moments. And I don't want to do that. Time can be rewritten, but not these times, not one line. He's like, I can't do it. So he's like, I'm just stuck in this never ending cycle of despair, trying to fulfill your promise to save everyone. But I don't know if that's going to work or not. Oh my God. Like, and what happens if it does? So they decide to go looking for her again. And that's when Lu Guang reveals that he has this power. And guess what? He wasn't going to use anything, but he's like, oh, Cheng. Because what happens there? What does he say there? He wasn't going to, he's like, he ends up going with Xiaoling and he's like, we'll help you. And he says, one more person, two more eyes. I can't bear to leave you and that girl with two regrets. And that gets Lu Guang to agree to help, because he can't sit there and see Cheng Jiushi smile. And he caves. Our boy Lu Guang, that we thought was a heartless and cold man, is the biggest softie in the world. And this season's going to kill me. Emotionally, this season's going to do me in. I already know. But he agrees to help him. And he's like, look, I've got the power of divination. So basically he finds the photo And he says, all right, it's 3:55. We've got to find the photo. Okay, I want to see what he put on here. So he says 3:55, find the photo. So he knew what time this was all going to go down. Oh my God, wait. So we have the thing, the book. We're going to go back to that. Oh my God. It's written in, is it written in Latin so that it can't be decoded? And it says start shooting at 3:30. Take separate actions at 3:35. Oh my God. So 3:55, find the photo. Start shooting at 3:30. Lost items, everything. Take separate actions. Oh my God. And at 14:45. And then 15. Oh, does it give us anything for those 2 times? I want to say, because there's 2 times listed on there. Do they give us any translations of those? Yeah, lost everything at 14:45. Find the photo at 15:55, and everything goes exactly the same as the past. So he's been keeping a notebook, writing down everything and when it happens, so that he'll know what exactly to do when he goes back to make sure that the correct actions occur. Bitch. Oh my God. He's been planning this out since the beginning. Oh my God. This changes so much. And the thing about it is that you can't really even say it's a retcon, or you can't even say it's not that way in season 1 or season 2, because this timeline could be completely changed from the other timelines, and there's no way for us to know that yet. So it's like, oh my God. So he says he's going to use divination, but it's really him using the photo to go back and forth in time to find out where she went with the photo, so that they could track her down. Right? And that's what we end up getting. Meanwhile, we get to go back into her past, and she basically kind of has like Adam's backstory from Skate the Infinity. A little bit. If you've not seen that show, you should be watching it too. But yeah, a little bit. The fly buzzing was so annoying. It just was adding that ambiance of irritation. But this mom, she's a piece of work. She basically doesn't want her daughter to try anything new or to try to be bold, because she knows that there's a chance of failure. It sounds like the mom tried to be ambitious when she was younger and it failed miserably, and she got this 9 to 5, and now it seems like good intentions where she doesn't want her daughter to suffer the same fate, but it instantly gives way to her trying to vicariously live through her kid. And I felt bad for the daughter because she wants to be an artist. And I also love the use of primary colors in this series, red, blue, and yellow. Like the red lips and the red wine, all that was so good. And I also felt bad for her because her friends liked the same things that she did, but they were afraid to like have her go with them because they didn't want to get in trouble, and they knew that she potentially would do so. Also, will say the main couple look like Lu Guang and Chang Jiushi. Ridiculous. But she reads the story and instantly finds connectivity to it, and in that moment decides what she wants to do, and it's becoming a comic artist. But her family doesn't believe in her. The 2 aunts, or the 2 friends, they were horrible. They're like, oh, poor mom. And I was like, poor mom, she was terrible. And then to make matters worse, the girl tries to go online, which, don't do that. The girl tries to go online to get help. She basically goes to Reddit, and that doesn't work. She gets the worst news from there. And she's like, I just wanted to do, like, I love when she says, she's like, I just want to do something I'm passionate about. There are no regrets in dedicating your life to something you care about. Yeah, even if you fail, even if it doesn't do the best, if you liked it and enjoyed it, then there's no problem with it, right? So she finally decides to make a choice and go to the comic convention, and she gets the book back just in time from Xiaoling and them, and gets to go get it signed. And I love that she gets to meet the comic artist, and the comic artist tells her, because the girl's like, well, I want to be a comic artist, but I've heard it's really hard. Like, what's your advice? And I love the comic artist. The comic artist VA almost made me cry. Like there are some people that have certain voices and the cadence of them like make me like get really emotional. And this comic artist, there was just like a tremble to her voice that made me nearly cry. And I was like, oh, don't do this in episode 1 of Link Click, especially around the comic artist of all scenes. We couldn't cry about the Cheng Jiushi and Lu Guang scene, but this. But yeah. So she tells her that, you know what? It's going to be a long and dark road and it's going to be hard with a lot of bumps. And when you go back through that road, you're going to see that you're going to see that in all honesty, it was a really hard path that you took, but it was worth it to see the sights that you saw at the end of the road. So saying like, yeah, the journey is arduous, but it's worth it in the end. I'm like, damn, I really loved that scene with her. Like that was so good. And then she gives her the autograph and everything. So they managed to keep the timeline going for that part, which was great. And then they got home. And Lu Guang in that moment, he's like, oh, well, I made that divination part up. I love the, again, the chibi expressions are so good in this. He's like, well, then how'd you find Meow Meow? And he's like, I used another method. I just didn't want anybody to see. And Cheng's like, well, your acting skills are pretty convincing. You have no idea. And he says, I thought you'd ask how I made it. And then Cheng's like, oh, well, when you're ready to tell me, I'll find out, won't I? How would your heart not melt in front of this human Labrador? How would your heart not melt being Lu Guang, honestly? And here's the thing. He tries to go back. He's like, hey, I was thinking if divination was real, we could add it as a side gig to the photo studio. And it's like, oh my God. And them all working together. And the thing about it is, he's like, yeah, the three of us. It'd be nice to help people find their precious things. So was all of this started? Did Lu Guang start his own time loop? Going back to see him again? And because he stayed and because he did all this? But here's the thing. No, here's the thing. It sounds like it could have already been happening. Everything that's happened now has already happened, and Lu Guang is just following the motions to make sure he doesn't alter what's already happened in the past. That seems to be what he's doing, because then in that moment he's like, okay, he's like, it's nice to help people find their precious thing. And Lu Guang's like, yeah. And he's like, I need to go. He's like, I've got to leave. Like he hits the 17-hour mark, the same mark that he's hit before. And he's like, I gotta go. And Cheng Jiushi's like, what? The expressions, everything, they're so good in this episode. So Lu Guang had a chance to go again and go back to the present and leave this timeline, leave this time loop. He had a chance to go back, but Cheng grabbed him and drug him back along. He was going to leave and Cheng made him go back. Oh my God, y'all. So that was 34 minutes. It felt like one episode and they've just made these 2 episodes together for this opening. It feels like 2 episodes together, honestly, which is fine, but damn. So they start moving all this stuff in. Apparently there's a black box with his summer clothes in. And we meet this one guy, Zhao. And Zhao gets her stuff back. Zhao that looks like a porcupine. And so he asks for 500,000, which I wanted to know how much is 500,000 in Chinese currency. I want to know how much that is. So if it's 5,000 yuan, 500,000 yuan, that's $68,000. Okay, that's a lot. How much was 100,000? It was 13,000. Okay. So in USD, the yuan currency, 500,000 is 68,000 US dollars, which is still a lot. Quite a bit. So as soon as he started talking about this girl, he says that he goes to his contacts and he missed a call from someone inviting him to a Vivian or Vivin, depending on what the subtitle says and translates to, invites him to a voice call and he's like, who is this? And so then she starts out saying that it's his sister. I'm at the hospital entrance. And he's like, what? And then I think you've got the wrong number. And she says, oh, wrong number. She's like, I'm so sorry. And then they chatted for half an hour. The moment he said that, at first I was like, oh, well, that's a cool coincidence. But the longer he talked, I don't know if y'all have heard of pig butchering scams. That's basically what this is. Pig butchering scams, I've watched a video on it a few months ago, actually. And it's really heartbreaking, but a lot of it picked up during the pandemic. It's basically a telemarketing scam, but they're actually scammers that prey on the loneliness of people. Like it really picked up during COVID, where when people are isolated during shelter in place, they would call people and develop. It's basically like catfishing scamming. These people will develop relationships with you, and then they'll basically start getting you to invest money after they develop this relationship and be like, oh, hey, since we're boyfriend and girlfriend, or since we're together, like, how about we do an investment or something like that? And they basically just scam you out of your money, but they prey on you and your loneliness, and they get to know you and develop a fake relationship with you and then scam you. And it's terrifying, right? But the thing about it is, because you might be thinking, oh, well, those scammers are awful and how dare they? But like we see in this episode, there's actually a lot of evidence. A lot of the scamming actually comes from China. So I was like, the fact they got away with this too, it's such a big deal. But a lot of these scammers do come from China, and they also come from other countries where there are being people trafficked into doing these scams. Like, they've been caught up in these organizations, and they've either been kidnapped and trafficked into them, or they've been held hostage, or they did it to like start making money like she did, and it just led to one thing led after the other. But for whatever reason, a lot of the people involved in these pig butchering scams are not doing it because they want to be a scammer, but because they've been forced against their will. So what a wild current event topic to be brought up in this season. So yeah, he says the doctor of a wealthy entrepreneur, her sickly sister living near the hospital. And says today's investments have arrived, allowing me to indulge for once. She juggled part-time work while studying for 10 years. He says, I shouldn't forget to reward myself thanks to her intelligence. And says, after a year of effort, I finally reaped the reward. She earned enough not only for her medical bills, but also as of today, I'm a master's student, but is good for life. And it says, I hope my parents in heaven are proud of me. I got a master's degree from the Royal Academy of Bridon. So Bridon is connected to all of this. There is some connection to Bridon. And we got that connection as well through her, through Vivian. Funny that we started season 1 off with Emma, and now we're starting this season off with Vivian. Interesting. Okay, I don't know what the Royal Academy of Bridon has to do with all this, but she mentions it at the very end of the episode, so we're just going to go through theirs. But yeah, he basically got scammed, and I kind of felt bad for him after that. That she basically convinced him to get caught up in all of this. And so Xiaoling's like, it's clearly a scam. Like, how dare you get involved? But Cheng Zhou, she's like, look, you know what? We're gonna help you out, but first we're gonna prove that it's a scam to get you out of trouble. Like Cheng Zhou, she is too nice. He's too kind. And what's interesting is even before they had their powers, even before Cheng and Lu Guang were working as a pair with the photo place, in helping him, they were essentially doing the same thing. Only now they were using Lu Guang's powers to help them out. And he's like, I haven't agreed to help you. And like, oh, the fact when their face was like, please, Master Lu. Like, he was expecting this to happen, but their little sad faces, oh my God. Being like, and Lu Guang's like, okay, he knows that this is dangerous. He knows this is going to be a dangerous mission. And the crazy thing, he's like, I have one condition. And I love that they get on their hands and knees to listen to him. It's so funny. And he's like, get out, no peeping. He's like, I want to see the photo. Like, what a teenager. And he's like, I'm not a teenager. He's like, nope, I'm not a teenager, that's for sure. And so he looks at the photo using that power and then sees that they're all fake. Or so we think. It's sourced from free landscape photos. Mm-hmm. And the other stuff is all pictures stolen from other bloggers. Interesting. I like Coochie instead of Gucci. So in a word, it's all fake. Yeah. But, oh my God. My dogs. So honestly, though, I could see why Lu Guang at first doesn't want Cheng to go into this whole situation, because he knows that there's a lot of danger in this mission. And he's like, I don't know, but you can't change the past. So he's got to just rely on the fact that Chang Jioshi's going to follow suit. And as per usual, Chang does not follow suit. He goes against the grain. Why are we surprised? I will give Zhao credit because they told him that he was being catfished. And then she said, don't get trapped deeper. And that one line that she said was sticking in his memory to make him remember that maybe she was in trouble and that there had to be a reason to help her. So yeah, so I like that Lu Guang and them, they do the camera and the thing in the phone, and he's like, all right, I'm going to monitor you. And the fact of, I'm sorry, but when Chang Jiushi goes to give him a hug, like this whole moment here, this show, this whole prequel arc is just here to, it is just here to torture us. It is just here to torture us. It is just here to make us feel awful. That is exactly what it is. Oh my God. I'm just in awe, y'all, of these two, and it makes me want to puke. But yeah, and that's when Chang says, thank you. You always say no, but you're always the first one to help me as well. Damn, this is just like, did you want a bag of salt poured into your wound? That's exactly what happens. And him clenching that damn fist like Arthur. Him clenching that fist like Arthur, being like, son of a bitch. He's right, I do. He's like, I'm doing this all for you, Chang Jiushi, because I can't let you go anymore. Oh my God. Ugh. It hurts. This whole season's gonna visibly hurt, isn't it? The entire time. And he says, be careful. And he's like, oh, no worries. With your help, how can I mess up? So yeah. Anyway, Chang Jiushi does not do as predicted, and he follows her and decides to pretend to be Zhao Jun. And I love that Lu Guang is like, I hate him. I hate him so much. I should have known this was going to happen, of course. Love the saxophone. That part was great. And Lu Guang just being so frustrated, being like, why do I deal with this all the time? And basically, they do what happens in real life, where they do in real life what happens in the photos, where Lu Guang, it's like a prototype mission where he tries to lead him along, lead Chang Jiushi through the motions. And of course, Chang doesn't make everything go to plan, but it's basically a prototype of what they end up doing, right? So as far as the abilities, we've talked about Lu Guang and Chang Jiushi's. We know that Li Tianji could possess others by using a photograph of them, kind of like Chang Jiushi's ability. And we know that Li Tianjin could control people as long as he was touching them. So we know that. And then we have all this. There was a moment where earlier, were they looking at, was he looking at a magazine that had the one guy's face on it? He was, wasn't he? I feel like he was. I want to go back and see. Did he have a magazine? Thought he did. Might have to go back. I know he had a magazine at some point that he was looking at. Maybe that was later on. He had a magazine with the one guy's face on it. That was for sure. We'll go back and try to find that. But yeah, anyway. So things go really bad because Chang ends up following her back out, which all of that whole time he followed her in the alley, I was like, these are bad ideas. Why are you doing this bad idea? None of this sounds like a great idea. You're going to get abducted. Nope. And even her like injuring herself and luring him to get down on the ground. Like these were all like kidnapping 101 things that as a woman and growing up as a woman, I was like, you were taught these are all no-no things. You don't do any of these things. They're bad ideas. And Chang Jiushi just instantly does them. Also, what a parallel. We went from Lu Guang being tied behind a chair in season 2 to Chang Jiushi being tied in the chair. I'm like, how the tables have turned. I'm so glad he was okay by the end of this and that she offered to help him leave. I was so afraid that he was going to get hurt. And she like helped him get out of there by them faking their deaths and all that. But the moment that table and stuff fell to the ground and there was a knife on the table, I'm like, that guy's going to grab the knife and stab her. The moment that happened, I was like, she's going to get stabbed. But luckily, Chang Jiushi and them got out before that happened. But I felt so bad for her because her circumstance just let her get into this situation. And like her drinking the beer and chain smoking while on the phone with him. all the imagery just absolutely insane. I mean, her part of the story for this episode was pretty straightforward, but it was still heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. So my question was, when she, like, is dying, she sees the image of Vivian standing there, of herself, and she says, "Take me away, take me to Bridon." And I'm like, what? Take me to enjoy delicacy. Take me into a relationship free of lies. So, back to Bridon. Was that an imaginary place? Take me away from this cage. Why did she say Bridon? I know that's where she said she went to school at, but I wonder if there's a bigger significance to that. But then on the news, we see the two guys that are arrested. Zhao Xiang and Ma Dong. And then Vivian has died. And that's when he finds out about it. And then, yeah. And there was the phone. Okay, and he says the past is the past. Don't dwell on it too much with what happened to Vivian. Which, looking back now, what a whole thing with Emma, since this was kind of a precursor to Emma. But back then, the thing about it is, with Chang, he was involved, but he didn't directly cause her death, right? With Emma, this just adds a layer onto why Emma was so impactful for him, right? He said, if I had taken your advice and stayed out of it, maybe she, and he's like, oh, well, your kindness isn't the problem. The problem is people who take advantage of kindness. Yep. And then he asks about the phone, like, how were you able to do what you did before I was knocked out? And he's like, well, I do have a superpower. And that's when he admits it. He's like, the photo that was taken yesterday, I could travel back through it. I could use it to predict. And he explains his power. He doesn't explain what Chang Jiushi can do with him, but he explains, like, how his power works specifically. And I could track your memories. Otherwise, I might not, if you had gone any further, I might not have been able to help. But he says, but it didn't stop you from getting hurt. He's like, so don't think that my power is going to make you invincible, because you still got hurt regardless. So I still ended up messing up. I'm like, Lu Guang, you're going to make yourself feel worse, aren't you? This series, y'all. This series. And he's like, well, it does explain a lot. And then he's like, I was really worried about you. These two are going to be the death of me. They really are. And then what does he say here? He says here that he knew two people. He's like, what? How did he describe this? Because he says, oh, well, that explains a lot. And then he says, no wonder I felt you were hiding something when I first met you. He says, I was actually quite worried about you. I used to know two people who had eyes that reminded me of theirs. Your eyes reminded me of theirs. And he's like, well, what happened to them? And then he said, oh, well, they disappeared. That's all he says. We don't get to see his expression or anything. So I worry sometimes about you too. Oh, well, who are these people? So yeah, so Cheng Jiushi just happens to know two people who remind him of Lu Guang. No big deal. No big deal. Just two random people who disappeared mysteriously. Are two of them going to be the people up here? Are they? We don't know. Is that how it's going to be? Or was he referring to his parents? Your eyes remind me of two people that used to worry me. Or was he talking about his parents maybe? And they disappeared, meaning that they died? So I sometimes worry about you. What if you just vanish one day? Maybe he was talking about his parents. Maybe I'm speculating too much into that. And that's when Lu Guang's like, I'll stay here in the photo studio. Because he's like, I worry you're going to vanish one day. And Lu Guang's like, well, I am. And you're going to vanish from me. What is this Shakespearean tragedy? What is this? This is salt in the wound. This is salt in the mother trucking wound. I cannot. And he's like, you can't take back what you just said, but you know, my face is pretty poor, low pay. And he's like, do you really want to stay here? Oh my God. And he looks so pathetic when he asks. And Lu Guang's like, and he makes him like bind the contract holding the hand. Y'all, What the fudge is this show gonna do to us? Or it means we're partners for life. I didn't say it's a lifetime contract. I can't promise forever. Oh my God. But I'll stay here as long as I can. Ugh! Shut up. Shut the frick up. I am gonna just smack these people that created this series. How dare they? And then he goes to tell Xiaoling that they're gonna stay together. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. I can't stand this. A mutual agreement. We got to find the best camera that we have to take a photo of this moment. And that's where they take the photo. Yeah. And that was the photo that was in the frame. And seeing Cheng Xiao, she's so happy. Oh, and Lu Guang smiling, seeing him so happy. Mother trucker. And then we hear Lu Guang save them. Yep. But then, of course, he frowns right after that, remembering what he told him. Oh my God! Oh, I feel so bad for Lu Guang. I seriously do. Ugh. Go back in time once more, episode 1. So then we get the ED. ED, by the way, of them walking through the streets. I'm assuming this is Europe. Bridon's in Europe, isn't it? In Britain. Of them walking through the streets of the merry old England. And then, yeah, so we see, I want to see what we got here. We got him and Chang sitting, and Chang's in the library where Lu Xiao was from, and with the sonnet book. Like, did he put his head up against it? Is that what he did? What is happening, y'all? Like him putting his head up against the book. Oh, what? This entire series is gonna be the death of me. So yeah, putting his hand up there as time passes through the window, seasons pass. Yep, and then there's the university. So there's Chang. And then we see Lu Guang as time passes again. What? And then we see time go backwards. We see Lu Guang looking over that way. We see Cheng Xiaoxi looking over that way. And we see Xiaoling. And then we see the woman, the Annie lookalike as well. But her eyes were kind of purple there. So does that mean she has an ability like Chang's? We don't know. And then we see this guy with the ring who looks very sad. And then we see the one guy with the red hair who looks just pissed, as could be. And then we see Liu Xiao who looks pleased as Christmas punch. The fudge. Muffin. And then we see her at an office. We see them in a chair. We see Lu Guang in a chair. We see the one guy who's like looking at as he's like he's a waiter. And then we see the one guy that's propped up in some studio without his glasses, looking amazing. I don't know who you are. I don't like you, but I also don't like that you're extremely attractive either. So, and then what else do we see? There's something else there. Every like frame counts. What is this? I want to go back. No, show me all the frames. All right. Sorry, bear with me. Okay, yeah, there's a big gallery and he's sitting in it. Ugh! Why? Why are you standing there? And then Lu Guang is in the chair. What is this? Get out. And all these places. Oh my God. This show. There's so much. There's so much to keep track of. And then we see him walking down there. We see, yeah, the shot of Chang. Lu Guang looking at the photo. We see him walking. We see all of them from the end of season 2. Oh my God. Yep, the welcome back. We see when he first met. There's this apartment on fire. Then we see him walking down the street again slower. And he turns back. Oh my God. And the time mechanism, whatever that is. And it's him like in a time bubble. Flowing through the time continuum. What? What is this? And there's some kind of book with an eye on it that looks similar to what? That looks similar to what he had. But then what's the guy who's running, who's outside the burning building with the hair that's really flowing and the arm and stuff? What is this? And then she's walking out of the building looking like the Terminator. What? And her eyes are glowing yellow. What's going on? What? Y'all. And then, yeah, this mofo standing outside a damn church with his umbrella. What is this, Revolutionary Guard Lieutenant? Get out of here. And then the one guy in the alleyway with the phone. And the one guy looks sad looking out the window. Like, who be him? And then, yeah, Lu Guang going to see Cheng Jiushi, who's smiling like a damn angel. And he walks over to him, and I swear, he gets so close to him. And they cut to black. Mother trucker, why? So, yeah, so then this scene, they show him going, they can't find the clothes box, the black box that had his summer clothes. And he goes up there to get something, and there's an envelope that slides out. Like someone planted it there. Who planted the envelope? And inside the envelope, there's a shot of a building. There's a picture of a building. So, in this, there's a photo. I'm running out of space. There's a photo of a building in England. I'm assuming at Bridon. And then Chang, suddenly in that moment, he looks at it and he turns around and he's in like the intersection of somewhere else, looking around like where he's at, like he's looking inside the photo. And then it says Mr. Chong. And he turns back around and a book shuts. What? I want to see where it was on. Damn it. Hold on. Nope. Nope. I want to catch it right at the right moment. Okay, it was between 18 and 19. Oh my God. So, all right, I want to see what this says. And it says Bahati. Bahati is written on there. So we're going to say it says Bahati. It's 18 and 19 are the sonnets. So we're going to look at the sonnets. You mother trucker, you thought you were going to pull a fast one on me. But it shows that. We're going to look this up. What does Bahati mean? Oh my God, y'all. So Bahati is a singer. I don't know what else Bahati could be. The Bahati Foundation is a thing. I don't know. Bahati tribe. I don't know what else it could be. Anyway, we're gonna go back to that. Or, yeah. Bahait? What about Bahait? Maybe it's Bahait. Okay, Bahait. I don't know what that is. Okay, but we're gonna do sonnet 18 and 19. Okay. Is this, yeah, what is sonnet 18 and 19? Okay, so sonnet 18, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Synopsis, in a radical departure from the previous sonnet, the young man's beauty, here more perfect even than a day in the summer, is not threatened by time or death, since he will live in perfection forever in the poet's verses. Meaning that we'll keep on preserving Chang, that Lu Guang is trying to preserve Chang in the way that he is now by going back in time and seeing him. Oh my God. Says, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. The rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed. And every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou oust. Nor shall death brag thou and wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growst. So long as man can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Oh my God. So then sonnet number 19, the synopsis with it is that the war with time, announced in sonnet 15, is here engaged in earnest as the poet, allowing time its usual predations, forbids it to attack the young man. Should this command fail to be effective, however, the poet claims that the young man will, in any case, remain always young in the poet's verse. Devouring time, blunt thou the lion's paw, and make the earth devour her own sweet brood. Pluck the keen teeth from the fierce tiger's jaws, and burn the long-lived phoenix in her blood. Make glad and sorry seasons as thou fleest, and do whatever thou wilt, swift-footed time, to the wide world and all her fading sweets. But I forbid thee one most heinous crime. Oh, carve not with thy hours my love's fair brow, nor draw no lines there with thine antique pen. Him in thy course untainted do allow, for beauty's pattern to succeeding men. Yet do thy worst, old time, despite thy wrong. My love shall in my verse ever live young. Bitch, what? What? And he shuts the sonnets. Oh, really? So then Cheng's like, well, who was that? What was that? And then on the envelope, it says Cheng Weimin, meaning his dad's name. So he's like, that's my dad's name. Why is my dad's name on the envelope? So yeah, so his dad's name is on the envelope. I don't know if the dad's name is on the envelope to lure Cheng over there, or if the dad is connected to all of this, or if these powers are genetic. What? But yeah, and then he says, good, I'll take it from here. And so we don't know who the caller was. And he says, we can start the game. So, we know that up until season 2, that Lu Guang and Cheng Xiuxi don't know any of these 4. They don't know them. They don't think they know them. But Liu Chao, if he knew them all the way back from when this started, then that explains a lot of why he acted so weird coming back. What? And he didn't want them knowing about them. So is somebody's power to show you certain memories through photographs? Is that somebody's power? Is that Liu Xiao's power? Oh my God. I cannot, y'all. So the one thing though, is that I wanted to try to see, there was a picture of Lu Guang had a magazine, right? He had a magazine out at one point that he was looking at, and I kind of wanted to see what it was, but I didn't get a chance to see it later on, so I wanted to try to see if we could find that magazine with him. Okay, I found it. Oh my God, it was right there. So yeah, so he has like, it's a 43-minute mark in the episode. It said volume 103, and while they're sitting there waiting, he's sitting there and it says a Style Home magazine, and that guy is on the cover of it. Okay, so then it covers and it says the blue and beige best style home, and it says something ace and something fashion. But he's just modeling it. So maybe he's just a waiter that models. I don't know. Anyway. There you go. Please don't spoil me, but I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of fun with this season. But yeah, so this is going to be crazy, and I'm super excited about it, and I look forward to hearing your comments and seeing what happens next week. This is just going to be madness. It's just going to be madness, and that's all there is to it. So anyway, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more Link Click. Bye.